Hi, I'm Eric Glover, again with the Community of Peace. So happy that you could be with us. We want to talk today for a few moments on the subject reclaiming our people. We want to reclaim our people. And we are so happy and so appreciative of all of our subscribers. We just got a new subscriber. They are the Bangside Revolution from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And I've seen several of their videos. And if you get a chance, show them some love. Google Bangside Revolution and watch their videos. They've got some very interesting videos. And I love watching them because they're just young brothers in Oklahoma City just kicking knowledge and telling us truthfully how they feel and what's going on in Oklahoma City. They appear to be Crip, and we're not really into gangsters at the Community of Peace, but we love the people. We don't necessarily love what Crips do. We really don't. But we love the Crips. We love the Bloods. We love the individual, the human beings behind the color, right? Behind all the stuff that they wear. The human beings, we love them. We love the Hispanic gang members. Again, we don't love what they do, right? We don't love the gang banging. We don't love the drug selling, the drug using, the abuse of people. We don't love that. But we love them. We love the human beings that's behind all the stuff, right? Behind all the red and all the blue, this, that, and the third. We love them. And there is room for them in the Community of Peace. And part of this lecture is really about reclaiming, reaching out into the world of the life. Some call it the thug life. Some call it just the gangster life. But we want to reach out into that life, into that world, and say, hey, there is room for you in God's kingdom. This lecture deals with that. We call reclaiming our people, because at the end of the day, they are us. They are us. And we want them to know that we love them. We want them to know that there is a place for them in the Community of Peace, but in the greater community of God, they are welcome. I want to tell you a quick story about the country of Mozambique. There was an article, and I don't remember the magazine. I want to say U.S. News will report, but don't quote me, I'm not certain. This had to have been in the very early 90s or so, or late 80s. But at any rate, the apartheid government of South Africa, which we know now has been overthrown, would send drugs and would send money and guns to these young people in Mozambique. And they organized gangs, much like the United States. Now, the apartheid government of South Africa had one specific purpose for doing that. And that is, they wanted these young people to form gangs to destabilize the country. That was their purpose. Because they were afraid that Mozambique and Namibia, Angola, the other countries of Southern Africa would invade them. That was their fear. So they felt like by destabilizing Mozambique, they could reduce the possibility of that happening. But once the government fell in Johannesburg, once the apartheid government fell, and once they stopped giving money to these young men, the government was able to round them up. So a lot of people would have said, throw them under the jail, under the prison, execute them, because they have raped, they have killed, they have maimed, they have sold drugs, they have destabilized the country. They should be given life sentences in prison. But the people of Mozambique did not do that. You know what they did? They said, these young people are ours. We are going to reclaim them. They had some kind of ritual they did. I don't know what the ritual consisted of, but they took those young folks, put them through that ritual. And one of the young people said, after going through the ritual, he said that his nightmares went away. The nightmares of the things that he had done to people went away. The ritual chased the demons away. And those young men became productive citizens of society again. And I believe we can do that here in this country. I don't know what the ritual, I can't go do some ritual. I don't know what they did. I wish I did, but I don't. But just biblically, let's look at reclaiming our youth. And I have three steps down here. The first thing I think we need to do in reclaiming our youth is we need to understand. I don't want to say reclaiming our youth. I want to say reclaiming our people. Let's reclaim our people. The first thing I want to talk about is who was the historical Jesus? Who was Jesus? We know that Jesus was straight from the hood. Jesus was out the hood. Bethlehem was considered the hood. Remember Nathaniel asked, can anything good come from Bethlehem? Because Bethlehem was the hood. I tease people. Anybody knows Atlanta, they know Buckhead. Buckhead is a very wealthy, very nice, part of town. Big money, houses, $2-3 million houses, expensive cars. Is very nice. That is not where Jesus would have been from. Bankhead, on the other hand, down in the hood, where you have all kinds of issues. That's where Jesus would have been from. Bankhead, not Buckhead. We have to understand that. So when we criticize people who are from the hood, recognize that's where Jesus would have been from as well. Jesus was poor. And we know this because his family offered sacrifice of turtle doves. Turtle doves is a poor person's sacrifice. And that's what they offered because they were poor. He was poor. He was among the marginalized people. He was among the people that folk don't want to see, right? Folk don't want to drive past a certain part of town. They don't want to see the neighborhood. They don't want to see these marginalized people. That's where Jesus was, marginalized. Jesus' mother was a single, unwed, teenage woman. Today, we see a young, teenage, single young lady. What's wrong with her? Now, granted, I don't want any young person to get pregnant. We like them to be out of college, married, into their career, maybe even to a house, right? Or be a homeowner before they get pregnant. But the fact is, a lot of our young girls get pregnant at very young ages. So did Jesus' mother. My grandmother, my father's mother, gave birth to her first child when she was 14. Living in the projects in Augusta, Georgia, 14 years old, poor, broke, black, single, teenager. Bam, pregnant. Before we criticize and look down upon people, right? They smell bad, they this, they that. Let's remember who Jesus was, because the very people that we're looking down upon is right where Jesus would have been. So let's recognize the historical Jesus. But also, my second consideration here, let's change our attitude towards the gangsters. Zacchaeus was a gangster. When you read your New Testament, I'm coming out of Luke. I'm in Luke, the 19th chapter, verse 8 through 10. Zacchaeus was a tax collector. See, one thing about the gangsters about that money. You know what I'm saying? They about making that paper. Zacchaeus made that paper. As a tax collector, Zacchaeus had to collect tax. First of all, he was a Jew. Zacchaeus was a Jew. He was put in position by the Romans to collect their taxes from the Jews. So you had to pay Zacchaeus, or the Roman governor would come get you. So you paid Zacchaeus, he paid the Romans. Oftentimes, tax collectors would overcharge people because it's about the paper. They're making that paper. You know what I'm saying? So you're supposed to pay 10%. I don't know what you're supposed to pay. I'm just saying, what if, hypothetically, you're supposed to pay 10%. Zacchaeus charged you 15%. And that 5% stuck to him. 15 to the governor, 5 sticks to me. That's how they bought. That's what the tax collectors was all about. And I use Zacchaeus as an example because when you look at the gangsters, you look at the Crips and the Bloods and everything, Number one, they hurt society. They really do. And I don't mean it, and I'm not trying to beat them up or say anything harshly, but you're hurting our society. But you're making that money, right? That money, that cash is flowing, doc. Cash is flowing. Zacchaeus was hurting his society, but that cash was flowing, doc. He was making that paper. So how do you think when Jesus encountered Zacchaeus, how do you think that encounter went? Did he just say, you know what, I'm going to kill you because you've been hurting the community? Is that what Jesus said? I don't think so. Turn with me in your Bible. So Luke 19, verses 8 through 10. Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone out of anything, I will pay them back 4 times as much. Then Jesus said to him, today salvation has come into this house, because he too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. I'm going to say that to you again. The Son of Man, that's Jesus, came to seek and save the lost. When he say that he too is the son of Abraham, what Jesus is literally saying, we know if we go back to our Old Testament, God gave Abraham a covenant. So he's saying to Zacchaeus, you are now a part of that covenant. You see, because Zacchaeus said, look, I'm going to right my wrongs. So things that I have done that are wrong, I'm going to right them. That's what Zacchaeus said. And Jesus received Zacchaeus. You are now in the company of those who are under the covenant of Abraham. Salvation has come to you. And I believe that's what Jesus is saying today to our gangsters. You come on in. The door is open. The door is open. The door to God's kingdom is open. Come on in. Now, to the preachers who preach, fire and brimstone, you're going to burn in hell. That kind of gospel, that's not really what Jesus is saying. That's really not what he's saying. Jesus is saying, I want you to be in relationship with me. Now, we need to clean up your act. I don't want you blasting people. I can forgive you for the people you've already blasted. I can forgive you. But we got to work on that lifestyle. You know it's wrong. We know it's wrong to kill people. We know it's wrong to sell dope. Let's work on that lifestyle. But understand, my brothers and sisters, there is room for you in God's kingdom. Last thing I want to talk about is us inviting, inviting foster children into our homes. DFACS in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia, is the Department of Family and Children Services. Right here in Georgia, in Atlanta, Fulton County is one of the 15 counties in the metropolitan Atlanta area. One while, Fulton County itself had over 6,000 children in foster care. 6,000. And we know that there is a foster care to prison pipeline. A whole lot of kids in foster care today, statistically, will end up in prison tomorrow. A whole lot of them. Well, my wife and I were in a situation where we had kids who were already in college, already up in age, and we had an empty house. So we said, you know what? Let's go and let's foster some kids. We got 2 wonderful babies. They were 11 and 22 months old, and they are biological brothers. And we brought them in as foster children, and boy, they raised holy heck up in this house right here. But we got them the help that they needed. They were delayed with their speech. We got them a speech therapist. We got them a counselor. It helped deal with their emotions, of not being with their mother. There was not a lot of literature out there about cocaine-impacted children, but whatever literature was out there, I devoured it to try to help me understand them and work with them. They're 12 and 13 right now. Those 2 little boys, you would not recognize them. They play baseball. They're very athletic, very good in baseball, very good in basketball. They run track. Their life trajectory has changed. My 13-year-old has already gotten a phone call from colleges. That's right. 2 colleges came to his baseball. At the time, he was 12. 12 years old, and you got colleges coming to your baseball practice. I got a phone call from this young lady. I'm like, hello, may I speak to I'm like, what you want to talk to my son for? Oh, I'm down here at this college, down in Macon. We want him to come visit. I'm like, okay. He's a kid. But how many 12-year-olds get calls from colleges? Their life has totally changed. And I believe that if we get people who are conscientious, who love the Lord, who are rooted in spirituality, rooted in God, rooted in Christ. I'm gonna say rooted in God because you might be a Muslim, might be a Jew, right? It doesn't have to be a Christian per se, but a person who has the right heart. What if we wouldn't have adopted all the kids out of foster care? See, that would be a very big way of reclaiming our people. I'm going to read, this is from Mark chapter 9. Mark chapter 9, verses 36 through 37. And by the way, I use the Bible Gateway. That's an online resource that I like to use. There's also the Blue Letter Bible. It's a good way to go get and read the Bible. But Mark chapter 9, verse 36. Then this was Jesus, he took a little child and put the child among them, and taking it in his arms, he said to them, whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me. So if you go out in Jesus' name and you accept one of these foster kids into your home, what you've done, beloved, you've not only accepted that child into your home, Jesus comes right along with that child. But not only Jesus, God comes right along with that child. Let me tell you a story. When you were a foster parent in Georgia, I guess other places too, but I know in Georgia, the state pays, if you put that kid in private school, wherever you put that kid, the state pays for that child's education because technically the child still belongs to the state. You are just the caregiver. But once you adopt the child is yours. You are legally responsible. The state money stops. So, okay, we had our boys in private school. They were 2 and 3, somewhere in that age range, and they were in private school. And so we didn't even see the bill. The bill came straight from the school to the state. The state paid it. We never saw it. So after we had them for a year, we had the opportunity to adopt them. And I was like, let's adopt. I wanted to adopt them right away. And, but at the time, we could not afford their tuition at that private school. So, but the state had already approved for the next 8 months that the state was going to pay the tuition. But that 9th month, it would fall back to us if we adopted. Now, we could not adopt, and the state would keep paying. But I wanted to adopt. So we adopted them, knowing that I could not afford the tuition. But see, remember what I read to you. If you accept this child into your home, you accept Christ into your home and God into your home. During that 8-month period of time, do you know that I got a 40% pay raise? I did not stutter. My wife got a new job with a pay raise on her, just a pay raise just to go to her new job. But then on top of that, she got a second pay raise at the new job, all within the 8-month period of time. You see, when you go out to do God's will, God will take care of God's own. If you belong to God and you're doing the right thing, See, I believe God wanted us to take those two boys in. I believe God wanted us to adopt them. And when we did, God took up the slack. A lot of stuff you ain't got to worry about. You do the right thing. You do what you're supposed to do. You keep your hand in God's hand. And God will take up the slack. We invited those children into our homes. We adopted them. We did the best we could for them. And God took up the slack. Now my sons are 12 and 13 right now. They beasting. When we first got them, they needed speech. We got them the speech therapists they needed. We got them the psychiatrists they needed. We got them they were very sickly little boys. We got them took them to the doctor when they needed to go to the doctor. We showed them all kind of love, kissed them, loved them, hugged them, played sports with them, put them in sports, put them in taekwondo, put them in baseball, put them in basketball, let them run track, put them on a swim team, all this, that, and above. Doc had, when they needed help in school, got tutors for them. Everything they needed, we got for them. And look at them now. Look at them now. They out. We had a baseball tournament a couple years ago. My son, in one tournament, he got 12 RBIs and like 4 extra base hits. I mean, they're doing the doggone thing. They're good in school. They got the school thing going on. Very active in church. They were in several ministries in the church. Very active in school. They get picked to go all kind of places, doing all kind of things. School, church, on the ball field, all kind of stuff they're doing. I think there are so many more children out there that need a father and a mother who will love them. Invite those children into your home. Your kids growing up, you got space in your house, extra bedroom, 2 bedroom, fill it up with some children. It ain't easy. I'm gonna tell you right now. Lucky my wife and I love each other, because if we didn't, we'd have gotten divorced behind that, because it was rough. I'm not gonna pretend. It was rough. It was rough. It was rough. But God, look at them now. Yeah, man. Look at them now. I sit back. I love to watch them play sports. I go to their practices. Not I go to the games, of course, but I'll even go to their practices. Watch them play. The little boys, they doing the doggone thing. Go to their school, talk to the teachers. I know all the teachers by name. They all got my number. If they act up in school, they already know I'm gonna get a phone call. They already know. So just behave. You know what I'm saying? But from school to church, all the above. If you have room in your house, and if you have room in your heart, invite one of those little foster kids into your home. And if you get the opportunity, adopt them. Love on them. Help them if they need help, if they need tutoring, if they need some psychological help, if they need therapy, whatever they need. Get them, bring them in, love on them, help them. God will bless you for it. This concludes Reclaiming Our People. I hope that something was said that could help someone along the way. We have too many people who are being lost by the wayside. Too many. We have to stop and reclaim our people. Bankside Revolution, give love to you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all my subscribers for subscribing. Love to everybody. This is the community of peace. Everybody is welcome. God bless you.